there's making waves in training camp, and then there's what Shedeur Sanders just unleashed. Let's not sugarcoat it. This wasn't your garden variety rookie flashes of potential story. This was a methodical evisceration of the Cleveland Browns' first-string defense, surgically orchestrated not by the presumed starter, nor a coveted day one pick, but by a fifth-round underdog clawing his way up from the bottom of a manipulated depth chart. And somehow, he lit them up. Not through gimmicks or fluke plays, but with precision, composure, and quarterbacking so refined it had coaches, players, and fans doing double takes. If you're here for the real story, the messy truth, the highlight reels won't dare show. Hit that subscribe button, because if you're staying tuned to see how this Browns quarterback storm unravels, you're going to want front row access. The clips may already be trending, but the real narrative isn't just what Shedeur did. It's who he did it against and why the Browns are still pretending it didn't happen. Watch those reps. Study the poise, the processing, the command of the huddle, the seamless movement of the offense under his leadership. And you already know the truth. Shedeur Sanders is the most complete quarterback on this roster. And Cleveland's refusal to acknowledge it is beginning to resemble something far worse than cautious strategy. It's becoming organizational denial. Let's rewind. Coming into training camp, the QB pecking order appeared preordained. The Browns had Dillon Gabriel, the third-round pick with Oklahoma credentials, mobile, teachable, dependable, a developmental project meant to quietly ascend from QB3 to QB2 while the seat stayed warm with Flacco or Pickett at the helm. Then came Shedeur, the wild card, the media magnet, the so-called YouTube phenom. Expectations were limited. Show a little flash, impress in scout team drills, then fade behind the scenes while the real prospects were groomed. But that's not how this script played out. From the moment Shedeur stepped onto the field, he didn't blink. He commanded every shift, every audible, every pocket movement with striking confidence. His mechanics were sharp, his release lightning quick, his accuracy surgical. He didn't just complete passes, he dismantled a defense that's supposed to be one of the league's most ferocious. And remember, this wasn't garbage time filler, this was the Browns' A-team, Myles, Garrett, Denzel Ward, the Predators who feast on rookie quarterbacks. Yet Shedeur diced them up like a seasoned surgeon. No panic, no hesitation, just dominance. Now let's talk about Dillon Gabriel. This was supposed to be his breakout moment, his golden opportunity to validate the Browns' investment. But several weeks into camp, that narrative has completely imploded. He's had every advantage, more reps, superior offensive lines, better receiving targets, and still the cracks are showing. The same red flags from college have resurfaced. Delayed decisions, erratic throws, poor timing. He's locking onto reads, missing blitzes, and most tellingly, he looks rattled. Each snap feels forced, like he's playing from behind. The contrast couldn't be more glaring. When Shedeur's in, the offense flows, it breathes. When Gabriel's under center, it's survival mode, and the locker room sees it. The energy's shifting. Veterans like Jeudy and David Njoku aren't saying much publicly, but they're gravitating. There's a visible shift in tempo and rhythm and trust. Leadership, after all, isn't just about shouting in the huddle. It's about how a quarterback makes the unit feel. And Shedeur, he makes the Browns feel dangerous, but here's where it gets political. Despite the growing chasm in performance, the Browns continue to peddle the three-man competition narrative. Gabriel still gets run with the ones, Flacco gets his ceremonial drives, and Shedeur, he's on a leash. Why? Because acknowledging Shedeur's rise means confronting a bitter truth. They got it wrong. It means admitting that a fifth-round pick, the guy they thought was just good PR, might actually be him. That the rookie they presumed was all flash has turned out to be all substance. That GM Andrew Berry and owner Jimmy Haslam overlooked the real gem in favor of safer optics. And that's not a narrative they're ready to own. History tells us why. This is an organization that held on to Baker Mayfield far too long, recycled systems rather than fixed personnel, and consistently chose image over innovation. And now they're doing it again. managing Shedeur instead of unleashing him, rationing his reps while Gabriel sputters. But the fans, we're not blind. We've watched the tape, we've tracked the stats, we've felt the shift. And this isn't just a quarterback controversy, it's a defining crossroads for the franchise. And here's the final twist. Shedeur is doing all of this with the second team offense. Imagine what happens the moment they let him drive the real machine. This isn't just about evaluating quarterbacks anymore. It's about managing egos, because admitting your third rounder isn't ready, that's uncomfortable. But conceding that your fifth round pick is not only the most prepared quarterback in the building, but already outshining veterans, that's a bitter pill. It exposes flawed evaluations. It reveals that the original depth chart was built on false assumptions. It forces the organization to acknowledge that the project they stashed at the bottom of the roster is suddenly performing like a top 5 selection. And that kind of clarity, it terrifies decision makers who thought they had time. But football doesn't wait. The locker room's already moving. The fans are already demanding answers. The media is already headlining it. Shedeur Sanders is outperforming everyone, and it's not close. So now what? If the Browns have any sense of clarity, they shut down the charade. They sit Gabriel down and tell him the truth. You gave it everything, but Shedeur is ahead of schedule. Then they rally the team around the guy who's already doing the job, because the longer they stall, the more embarrassing this becomes. Every day that Shedeur continues to dominate while officially holding a clipboard, this evolves from a quarterback battle into a case study in organizational dysfunction. And if that sounds harsh, consider the facts. Fans are chanting Shedeur's name during practice. Teammates are dropping quiet nods when asked who's stepping up. Beat writers are openly questioning the coaching staff's delay tactics. The only people still clinging to the open competition narrative are the ones trying to protect their reputations. Let's talk about the fan reaction, because it's gone from excited to electric. The moment footage surfaced of Shedeur slicing through the starting defense, the internet detonated. That's our guy. How's he not QB1 already? Gabriel who? Critics may call it an overreaction. They'll remind you he hasn't taken an NFL snap, but those critics weren't at camp. They didn't see it live, because if they had, they'd understand this isn't just preseason buzz. This is what it looks like when a player takes over a franchise from the inside out. Let's close with this. If Shedeur Sanders had been a first-round pick, there wouldn't be a debate. The staff would already be crafting pressers around his leadership. He'd have full starter reps, a tailor-made playbook, and a media machine behind him. But because he was selected in the 5th round, and because many still view him as Dayon's kid instead of an NFL-caliber weapon, he's being treated like a curiosity instead of a cornerstone. And that is the Browns' mistake to fix. The question is no longer, is Shedeur good enough to start? Or the question is, when are the Browns going to stop pretending he's not already the best quarterback on the roster? Because from where we're standing, that moment is overdue. And every rep that doesn't go to Shedeur from this point forward isn't just a delay. It's a wasted opportunity. Forget the draft order, forget the pre-camp narratives, forget the cautious messaging they fed us in April. What's playing out now in Berea isn't a surprise twist. It's a full-on rewrite of the story Cleveland thought it was telling this season. And whether the front office admits it or not, the players already have. That locker room isn't pretending anymore. Not when the future is already delivering red zone lasers like a 5-year pro. Not when veterans are quietly gravitating towards Shedeur. Let's take you inside the power shift unfolding in Berea right now. At the start of camp, everything seemed structured. Dillon Gabriel was the chosen developmental piece, a polished 3rd rounder set to be nurtured behind a veteran. And Shedeur, he was a safety net, a 5th round flyer. Intriguing, sure, but more sizzled than steak, or so they thought. Then practice began, and the Gabriel illusion started to unravel. First, it was the inconsistencies, routine installs that he couldn't execute cleanly. Then the body language, stiff, overcoached, anxious. He was trying to force his way into rhythm. And in this league, quarterbacking can't be forced. Meanwhile, on the adjacent field, Shedeur was building something, not noise, not flash, but trust. Quiet, earned trust from veterans who've seen a dozen developmental guys come and go. It wasn't the deep balls that flipped the switch, it was the command. The way Shedeur adjusted protections pre-snap, the way he pulled receivers aside, not to critique, but to connect. That's what leaders do, and one by one, the veterans began to shift. You want to know when the tide officially turned. It was during a joint session when Shedeur, against all odds, got a crack at the starting defense. No gimmicks, no soft coverages, and he picked them apart like he'd done it his whole life. So here we stand, training camp in full throttle, quarterback tension bubbling, and once again, the Cleveland Browns find themselves engulfed in a whirlwind of attention. But this time, it's not due to a flop, a scandal, or a frantic roster shuffle. No, it's because Shedeur Sanders is commanding the spotlight, and not in a cute rookie story kind of way. In a, wait a minute, is he about to snatch someone's job kind of way? If you're into the real saga, the untold layers that never make the highlight reel, hit that subscribe button. And if you're here for the full unraveling of this quarterback storm in Cleveland, you're in the right place. Let's make something clear. This isn't just about flashy practice clips anymore. This is about what happens when a fifth rounder walks into an NFL camp with a chip on his shoulder and starts dismantling the depth chart from the bottom up. That's exactly what Shedeur Sanders is doing. He wasn't projected to be a threat. He wasn't penciled in for action. He certainly wasn't forecasted to outperform three quarterbacks with more experience, more pedigree, and far more Sunday recognition. And yet, here we are watching him do exactly that. The analysts aren't whispering anymore. They're declaring. Nick Wright, all in. Chris Broussard, convinced. Garrett Bush, practically screaming from the rooftops. These aren't pundits who always align, but when it comes to Shedeur, they're echoing the same chorus. He looks like the future. Let's dissect this. From day one, Shedeur's demeanor has been different. No theatrics, no bravado, just sharp focus, intentional execution. From his first snap, it was evident. This wasn't a development year mindset. He's operated like the starter long before he got any starter reps, and now he's getting those reps and maximizing every single one. There's nothing gimmicky about his play. He's poised, he's efficient, he makes decisive reads, delivers accurate throws, and wastes zero motion. Under duress, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't telegraph passes, and he absolutely does not resemble a rookie buried in the pecking order. Let's not pretend his competition is soft. Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, names with experience, accolades, and starter credentials, but none of them are generating the seismic buzz Shedeur is causing. Nick Wright didn't mince words. If you're judging by performance alone, Shedeur is the best quarterback in that building. And that's not hyperbole, that's film study. He's more efficient with the football. He reads the field faster. He's displaying authentic, unforced leadership, not a rehearsed act. Chris Broussard, who's seen dozens of rookie hype trains derail, went out of his way to spotlight Shedeur's football IQ, his mental processing translating into tangible production. Not potential, execution. Garrett Bush, he's been pounding the table on local shows, demanding the Browns quit the charade. Shedeur isn't a fun story, he's the solution. Here's what's wild. Shedeur hasn't said a word. No complaining, no viral sound bites, no side eyes when the reps go elsewhere. Just work, quiet, steady elevation. That type of restraint, rare, especially for a young QB carrying the weight of a last name that guarantees attention, whether earned or not. And the players, oh, they see it. Jeudy's talking about his ball placement, how routes feel smoother, timing feels sharper, and confidence oozes from every release. Myles Garrett, the man who feasts on quarterbacks, said Shedeur's composure is unshakable. That's not lip service, that's belief. And now the Browns coaching staff faces a decision. Because the noise, it's only getting louder. Players are backing him. Analysts are rallying. The film is making a case that's too obvious to ignore. Shedeur is outclassing Gabriel, outsteadying Pickett, out-upsiding Flacco, and he's doing it with real tools, not smoke and mirrors, footwork, accuracy, anticipation. That's not hype. That's tape. Yes, it's early. Yes, it's camp. But Cleveland's been through enough quarterback calamities to recognize rare when it walks through the door. And when your fifth rounder looks like your most complete quarterback, you'd better be ready to pivot. Because here's what's next. Preseason, game speed, real pressure, bigger stages. And once Shedeur steps into that arena and replicates even a fraction of what he's done in camp, the toothpaste is out of the tube. The genie isn't going back. One viral throw, one national segment, one moment, and you won't be able to keep Shedeur Sanders under wraps. This isn't just about ability, it's about readiness. And while others are still acclimating, Sanders looks like he's been ready his whole life. Calm, controlled, commanding. That's the DNA of someone who's been studying the game since childhood, because he has. Mentally and physically, Shedeur has made a leap. Few expected this early. Thank you guys. Good days.